Once again, it's on. You know what time it is. It's time to play some toss. Welcome, everyone, to episode 112. 112, Peaches and Cream. 112 of Toss, the Tristain Sports Show. Yes, it is your main man, T-Squared, Tristain Thomas. Thank you all so very much for joining us. This week, the Packers finish up preseason. They've also made their cuts to get to that 53-man roster to get ready for the regular season. What do I think about their pieces? We'll discuss. The Milwaukee Brewers may have a problem, and that problem ain't just on the field. It may be on the bench. We'll discuss. And then a toss sweep. We talk first round predictions. How did I do in the WNBA Playoffs? And how are the semifinals going so far? What are my predictions for those? And then we talk NFL Top 100 list. And you know I already got some beef with it. You saw the list, but if you didn't, yeah, I got some beef with it. But you all know how we get started here on Toss. We get things started with the state of the state. Typically, we do that. But before I go to that, a quick programming note. Episode 112 was the last episode of our summer schedule. Our summer schedule, we go to bi-weekly because, you know, you got to get vacation time in. You got to spend time with the family. There isn't too much going on in the sports world of Wisconsin. I mean, yes, the Brewers are playing, but are they really? Packers don't come back to training camp until late July, early August. The Bucks are usually done at that point. You know, they had a nice playoff run last year, winning the world championship. Got bounced to the second round this year. So we go as long as they go, and then we go to our bi-weekly schedule. Well, now we are back. Football season begins September 11th. We got to discuss Packers. We got to discuss the upcoming season, not just for the Packers, but for everyone. We'll do that next week. Back to every week shows here on Toss. I know people are excited. They've been about to get the DMs. We're back to being every single week for y'all because we got to make sure that we give you the truthful, opinionated, and passionate coverage of football season, Green Bay Packers football and NFL football season, and that's about to begin. So we're about to go back to weekly shows. Now let's get to state of the state here on Toss, and let's start off with those Green Bay Packers that I mentioned before. They finished the preseason 1-2. No big deal. No big deal. We all know what the purpose of preseason is. If the head coach so feels, get some starters, some reps. But really, it's about filling out your team. It's about who is going to make this squad and add a different something to possibly get your team over the hump. And I think they did that. We saw some progression from Jordan Love. I did really like what I saw from Jordan Love. I think this preseason, he took his biggest steps forward than in any preseason I've seen him in. I truly believe that. Now, people are going to look at the numbers. People are going to look at the turnovers. And, yeah, he's still a young guy. He's somebody that needs to take care of the football a little bit more, but not all those interceptions were on him, but there were some that were on him. He made some poor throws at times, but what quarterback does not? For as well as Aaron Rodgers takes care of the football, he does make poor throws. They don't always get intercepted. Most of the time they fall incomplete, but the four-time MVP he is, the Hall of Fame quarterback that he is, he too makes poor throws. So you have to expect that. I think as the years go on, he will take care of the ball. We're talking Jordan Love, take care of the ball much better. But you could see the arm talent. You could see the athleticism, the mobility. You could see why the Packers were enamored with his talent and decided to trade back up to go and get him in the draft. He's starting to put those pieces together. And I'm excited to see his progression. He'll obviously be the backup to Aaron Rodgers. You hope you don't have to see him too much this season unless it's blowouts in favor of the Green Bay Packers. He can get some snaps there. But in real-time gameplay, as we saw him last year against Kansas City with Rodgers being out, COVID, I thought he played pretty well. Definitely played well enough for the Packers to win that game, but they did not. But you hope you don't have to see too much of that. Again, you hope it's in blowouts in favor of the Packers as opposed to not in favor of the Packers that you see Jordan Love, but I really did like his progression. Another guy that really caught my eye, besides Romeo Doubs. We know Romeo Doubs, and he's on this team, and rightfully so, and we'll get to the roster in a minute. Another guy that really caught my eye, that's really going to make an impact on this defense, is Quay Walker, linebacker. His speed, his athleticism, and the fact that he's beginning to pick things up in this Joe Barry defense. I have to say I'm really, really excited about that. I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to see how he's going to be used and utilized and what he's going to bring to the table, how he's going to wreak havoc. I'm really excited to see about that. But the Packers had to make cuts. They had to get down to 53 men. The 53 men that will start this upcoming season. Now, this is barring any changes or any trades that they made. They did make some signings. They signed a safety. His name is escaping me. Please forgive me. It's a pure special teams move because if anything needs work on this team, it's special teams. They still are a work in progress, and they're making moves to bolster that special teams. Still very much a work in progress. You just hope they don't lose you a game like we saw in the playoffs, but that's another story for a different day. So the Packers offense, where they decided to go. And really, it should be no surprise as to where they went with who they put on this team. On offense, obviously, you have Rodgers, QB1, Love, QB2. The running backs have always been set. Jones and Dillon. Tight ends, you got Tunyon, who made a nice touchdown catch today. Rodgers is really excited to have him back in practice. The big dog, Mercedes Lewis, still there. Run blocking, paving the way. Get you some good pass catching as well. Josiah DeGuara, who's really intriguing. Has the block ability, has the catch ability, just needs to put it all together. And Davis. At wide receiver, again, should be no surprises here. Alan Lazard is your wide receiver one. Randall Cobb, obviously you knew he was going to make it. Watkins, you know they signed him here to be a deep threat. Sammy Watkins. You got Rodgers, who you hope could be that impact guy in the slot. Use all those offensive weaponry skills that we saw out of him in Clemson. Christian Watson, obviously you drafted him and you're really high on him, but he's playing catch up to this point. He came off the pup not that long ago. But you're excited to see what you can get out of him. Romeo Doubs, again, no surprise there. He was the wide receiver at training camp. There was not a better wide receiver than him in training camp. And Torrey, which, he kind of squeaked by. And some people really feel for Juwan Winfrey, and he's always on the cusp. But for me, it's like, he really didn't do anything differently in this camp than he had done in any other camps. And that resulted in him being a P squad stash, which means, practice squad stash. It just seems like he just kind of hits that level, and that's just where he goes, is on the practice squad. Some people thought he should have made it this year. I think he's at that point where he just needs to be significantly better in preseason and in training camp than he was years prior. You can't continue to give the same thing because you're going to get the same results, and that's where it is with me and Juwan Winfrey there. That's why he's not on the 53-man roster, but that's not to say that he can't be. Injury here or there, and he's called off a practice squad if they put him there. And they do have the practice squad rosters out there. I have not taken a look at that just quite yet as we record this program. But that's just kind of where he is for me. He didn't give anything different, and he got the same result. And the O-line really should be no surprise. Bakhtiari, Jenkins, Runyon, Myers, Newman, Hanson, Nyman, Tom, Ryan, and Walker. I think those were all the guys that everyone who pays attention to this team had penciled in to make the 53-man roster. That is honestly, it's a talented offensive line. I like what each guy gives. If Bakhtiari is healthy, that's a huge plus. You know, Jenkins is healthy. That's a huge plus. Runyon stepped in and was good. You hope for that again. Really, really solid offense. Biggest question everybody's going to have are on the wide receivers. Can Lazard be a number one? He's one of the better blocking wide receivers in the National Football League. But can he go out there and also be that premier pass catcher? We'll see. He's got the size. He can win matchups. We'll see. What are the rookies going to bring to the table? Watson and Dobbs. Is Sammy Watkins going to be able to stay healthy for a full season? You know, will Rogers be healthy and again, get back to the guy that we saw at Clemson? How much does Randall Cobb have left in the tank in his now 12th year? A lot of questions there, but Rogers seems to feel pretty good about it. And when you have a 4-time MVP, a back-to-back MVP, leading that squad, I mean, he's going to do his best to try to make those guys better, help them elevate their games. But that's definitely a unit that we're going to be watching. I have no concerns about quarterback. I have no concerns about the running back tandem of Jones and Dillon. I think it's one of the premier running back tandems in the league. Tight ends, I have no questions about them. No questions about them. There's a lot of talent there. Will they be able to be consistent with it? Is Tunyon going to come back completely healthy? Is he going to be that red zone threat that we know him to be? Is the offensive line coming back healthy? Again, you know, Bakhtiari and Jenkins coming off of knee injuries. You know, are they healthy and ready to go? We'll find all that out on September 11th. Let's go over to the defensive side and special teams with that. On the D-line, you have Kenny Clark. Of course, they have Kenny Clark there because you paid him. Jaron Reed, Dean Lowry, Slayton, Wyatt, Ford. D-line made some cuts on guys that, you know, this morning that you had some fringe guys that you thought would make it, and they end up not making it, and you hope they come back around for practice squad. But, you know, those guys, they'll probably end up getting picked up. I'll be surprised if they don't. But, again, they came out with their practice squad roster, so maybe they're on there. But, again, I have not taken a look at that yet. At inside linebacker, you got Devondre Campbell, an all-pro, a man who should have been way higher on the top 100 list, which we'll talk about in the Tall Sweep. Walker Barnes and McDuffie. Again, Quay Walker being the most intriguing out of all that. I mean, you're expecting all-pro play out of Devondre Campbell. Chris Barnes, you're expecting solid play as usual. Quay Walker is going to be that wild card. What is he going to bring to the table? I'm very excited about him, about the speed, about the athleticism, the IQ that he's showing for the game. He's only going to get better. Outside linebacker, you got Rashawn Gary, who is going to ruin a lot of offensive plans this season. You saw him starting to do that last season. He started to get it. Now he's going to turn it up a little bit, I think. Of course, you got Smith, Ingebar, Garvin, Galley. Cornerback, you know what you got at corner. Ja Money, Jair Alexander, Rasul, Sue Douglas, Stokes, the speedster, Nixon and John Charles. And at safety, of course, you got the underrated Smash Amos, Adrian. You got Darnell Savage. You got Levitt. You got Carpenter. And you got Abernathy, who made this squad. And on special teams, you still got Mason Crosby at kicker. And then you got your punters and your other kicker. They're people too, but we're not going to go too deep into that. Just going to keep an eye on Mason Crosby. His kicking is becoming an adventure. I think that's a really solid squad. I think it's a really solid squad. Is it world championship caliber? I mean, anybody could say their team is world championship caliber on paper, but that's not what they play the games. What is Matt LaFleur going to do differently this season to get them over that hump? I mean, last season, it was special teams that stopped them. The defense did not give up a touchdown whatsoever. It was not on the defense. It was a complete special teams meltdown that caused them a playoff game and quite possibly a championship. I honestly did not see anybody beating them. They had home field advantage. Everyone that was in their path in the playoffs, they'd beaten before in the regular season already. And the team that came out of the AFC, the Bengals, Packers had beaten them in the regular season as well. So everybody that was on their road, that would have been on their road to a Super Bowl championship, they'd already beaten. And I didn't see anybody beating them. That San Francisco matchup last season in the playoffs was the one matchup that I was completely worried about because San Francisco had gotten hot. The defense had gotten better. They had gotten healthy. They squeaked their way into the playoffs. And it's just a bad matchup. But the Packers played them well, if not for that special teams gaffe, giving up that block punt, giving up those huge returns. You know, you could be talking about defending champion Green Bay Packers, but that was not to be. So I'm going to be interested in seeing what Matt LaFleur does. Does he have a wrinkle or two to try to get them over that hump to perhaps overcome the shortcomings on special teams? Because, again, and I said it earlier, they are a work in progress, 100% a work in progress. It's going to be interesting to follow this squad. I'm not going to give any season predictions currently. We'll do that next week. Also, the season premiere of Packers Quick Toss coming to you on digital platforms starting next week. Obviously, keep an eye on our social media at the20double on Twitter and Facebook.com/TOnSportsShow. That's TON Sports Show on Facebook. Keep it locked right there for the platform and for the times at which these digital pieces will be coming out to you. But I really am excited about this upcoming season. I'm really excited to follow this journey and to give y'all my thoughts on that. Also, we'll have the Monday after the game, September 12th, the first edition of the Fallout for the season on TossNationMedia.com. We'll recap what we saw in Sunday's game against the Vikings. Not this Sunday, obviously, September 11th. We'll have that piece for you on September 12th. So a lot happening with Toss Nation Media, getting that content out to y'all as we get back to football. All right, let's move on to the Milwaukee Brewers here on State of the State on Toss. Where do they stand currently coming into tonight's action? The Brewers are 68-60. They are now 6 games back of first place in the NL Central. Cardinals got hot, and I said it on Twitter again at the20double. Follow me there. Death, taxes, Cardinals make a run. Every year. They get out to slow starts. It's just looking discombobulated, and all of a sudden, they get it. And they take off. Like clockwork. So the Brewers are 6 games behind them for first place in the National League Central. I've seen some strange things happen. I've seen some teams get scorching hot. The Brewers last season, they run down whoever was in front of them and take over the division and just play some otherworldly baseball. I do not see this from this team. I think this is the Cardinals' division to lose a 6-game lead here, and time's running out. We're heading into September. You ain't got a whole lot of games remaining, and you're starting to lose against these losing teams, these cellar dwellers, where you should be pouncing on them to get every win, stack every single win you possibly can, but that's not happening. So they're 6 games back for a division crown. They are 2 games back for the final NL wild card, because what did I tell you guys a couple of weeks ago? What did I tell y'all a couple of weeks ago? Eventually, San Diego is going to get it. They're going to wake up. The bats are going to wake up. The pitching's going to wake up, and they're going to go on a run, and they're going to be a better baseball team. They're going to be the type of baseball team they are constructed as, which is a really good baseball team. And they're starting to get there. 2-game lead for that final wild card over the Brewers. Now, on the field, you got some guys who are going pretty well. Garrett Mitchell, the rookie, got called up. He's paying dividends, showing his clutch gene. Keston here, who had been up and down and up and down and up and down, he's finally figured his swing out, and he's now providing clutch moments, clutch hits. But there's some people on this squad that just continue to go the way they've been going, not being able to hit consistently and in and out of lineup with injuries, and you can't help those. But, I mean, the consistency in which you put bat to ball, that you can help. Corbin Burns hasn't really been his Cy Young self. But then, Woodruff has been. Peralta. Oh, let's get to it. Freddie Peralta went out with injury on May 22nd. I believe it was May 22nd. Returned to the majors on August 3rd. Has made multiple starts since then. He's been really good. And when I say really good, it culminated last Friday against the Cubs. You're at home, the Brewers, at AmFam Field. Still Miller Park to me, but neither here nor there. Freddie Peralta had faced the minimum 18 batters through 6 innings. Only gave up 1 walk, wiped that out with a double play. Faced the minimum amount of batters, 18. Had not given up a hit. Had thrown 82 pitches. Now, you got 3 innings remaining. You faced the minimum to this point. You only gave up 1 walk. You got a no-hitter going. I know the Brewers had a combined no-hitter last season. Remarkable moment. Maybe Craig Counsell was thinking, all right, maybe we can do it again. Freddie's coming off of injury. He's only made, I believe it was his 3rd or 4th start since injury, coming back from injury. Let's not tax his arm. Let's not tax his elbow too much. He's thrown 82 pitches. He's here in the 6th inning. Yeah, he's got a no-hitter, but let's go to the bullpen. Let's get this win. Let's get this combined no-hitter. Problem with that, and here's a couple things that was wrong with that. The Cubs probably came out and started putting runs up on the board. The Crew went from winning that game and being in the midst of watching a no-hitter thrown by Freddie Peralta to now trailing in that game and eventually losing in 10 innings to the Cubs, a team that is beneath you in the standings, a team that you need to be stacking wins against to get yourselves back to the division race and the wild card race. Craig Counsell managed the Brewers out of a win that game, and he's been managing the Brewers out of wins many times. So explain to me how he is above reproach. Explain to me how he has been untouchable. Yeah, he's the Wisconsin kid. Yeah, he's got 2 World Series rings as a player. Yeah, he's taken the Brewers to the playoffs multiple times in a row. And honestly, I think that's the only reason why he's been untouchable is because the Brewers have been so terrible over the years, over the decades. No manager has really taken them consistently to the playoffs as many times as Craig Counsell has. Not Harvey, not Phil Garner, not Davey Lopes, not Ned Yost, not Ron Renicky, Craig Counsell and that brain trust headed by David Stearns have built this team into a perennial playoff contender. And that's where it stops. You already know how I feel about Mark Antanasio, Brewers owner. He's the new Herb Cole. Chase a wild card. Chase a division crown if you can. Make the playoffs so we have some extra home games for that extra revenue, and I'm good. Doing that is something that won't break the bank. These fans will be happy with that. For all the decades of losing and not making the playoffs, and now we're consistently making the playoffs, and as long as we're making the playoffs, it's showing that we're making an effort, but we just come up short in the postseason. No. There's only so many times that a fan base is going to allow you to do that, to think that. Oh, it's okay, you guys made the playoffs. At least you made the playoffs. No, you make the playoffs time and time again, as you have been under Craig Counsell and David Stearns. People are going to expect a championship. Now, the rules have changed since the Brewers went to Game 7 in NLCS. Craig Counsell can't manipulate his bullpen the way he used to. But for some reason, he thinks he can. And for some reason, he still thinks he has that sort of a bullpen that went to Game 7 of the NLCS a few seasons ago. You don't have that anymore, Craig. That bullpen is no longer a strength of yours. And you have to manage accordingly. Now, I can understand one point of, okay, we got to protect these guys. These young guys, they've got arms that we need. These are golden arms, and we got to have them. We can't allow them to throw too many pitches and get burnt out or get hurt. Dude, they can get hurt getting out of bed. They could get hurt getting into the car. They could get hurt walking up the dugout stairs. Just living is a health hazard. It's a risk because anything can hurt you. We have seen far too many times Craig Counsell take guys out when they've been just having it going, matching the other pitcher on the other side pitch for pitch, and Craig Counsell takes them out, which nobody used to complain about because the bullpen was so good. The bullpen is nowhere near where it used to be. It's no longer a strength of yours. It is now a liability to a certain extent. You have to let these guys go, meaning the starters. You got 4 of them that you can throw out there that are really damn good. Burns, Woodruff, Peralta, Lauer. Those guys are really damn good. And if they have it going, you've got to let them go. You've got to let them go. I remember when Burns went 7 or 8 innings earlier this season, and people were shocked. People were shocked because Counsell actually allowed his horse to actually go because he had it going. So is Craig Counsell a liability? I don't know. But at times it certainly is. And that game on Friday against the Cubs was a prime example of him managing the team out of a win. You have to realize that you no longer have a bullpen that is your strength. Your strength lies within your starting pitching. And you have to let them go for as long as they possibly can. If they've got it going and they get through 7 innings scoreless, You know what? Let's back it up because he doesn't even let them get to 7 innings scoreless. If they got it going and it's 5 innings scoreless, let them go 6. If they put up another scoreless inning, let them go 7. I can see if they're like at 100+ pitches, okay, then take them out. That's the danger zone. You don't want guys going out there and throw 130 and 140 pitches. I get that. But if a guy is at 82 pitches, as Freddie Peralta was, he's got a no-hitter going. You let him go out there for the 7th. I don't care if he came back from injury. You're fighting for your playoff lives. You need wins. I think as long as the Brewers continue playing the way that they are, which is really not well, especially in the month of August, that Craig Counsell chatter is going to get a little bit louder until he realizes that he doesn't have the same team that he once did, which I am convinced that he does not believe that he does. It's not going to get any better, and that chatter is going to get a lot louder. We're definitely going to keep an eye on it, but the Brewers are losing time. It's about to be September. Your clock's running out. You got to start stacking wins, especially against those bottom feeders. But you got to be smart and understand that you don't have the same bullpen you once did. You got to let the starters go. And that's state of the state. Green Bay Packers got down to their 53 men that will begin the season. That starts on September 11th at Minnesota against the Vikings. And the Brewers, 6 games back in the NL Central, 2 games back at the final wild card spot in the National League. And Craig Counsell has got to wake up. It's time for us to run the toss sweep. TossNationMedia.com, your home for the Toss brand of sports. Truthful, opinionated, passionate sports. It's what you deserve. I made my predictions the last time I spoke to you about the first round of the WNBA Playoffs. Made a couple bold predictions that didn't quite pan out in my favor. But overall, I made some pretty dang good predictions there. Now, let's run through it. Let's see what I got right and what I got wrong. In the 1 versus 8 matchup, Las Vegas Aces versus the Phoenix Mercury, I said that the Vegas Aces would win that one, and they did. I didn't say it would be a sweep, but I think that was implied. It was 1 versus 8. Phoenix actually was without Diana Taurasi. They obviously did not have Brittany Griner. They're without Skylar Diggins-Smith. They were completely overmatched. They had no chance. The 4-5 matchup, I said Seattle will win that one, but it really could be a coin flip. I did not see that being a sweep in Seattle's favor, but it was. I thought that was going to go the distance, the full 3 games, but it did not. Seattle was pretty dominant in that series. The 2 versus 7 matchup. The Sky, defending champion, versus the New York Liberty. Did not see that series going 3 games at all. Definitely did not see that one. I didn't say it will be a sweep, but I did not see that one going all 3 games. The Liberty coming up and punching Chicago in the mouth in game 1. But Chicago going to handle business after that. So they win. And then the 3 versus 6, Connecticut versus the Dallas Wings. I knew that would be in favor of Connecticut. I thought that would be a sweep. It was not. It was not. That one, too, went the distance with Connecticut coming out the winners there. So now you have the 1-seeded Aces versus the 4-seeded Storm and the 2-seeded Chicago Sky, defending champions, against the 3-seeded Connecticut Sun, which those games get underway today. as we record this program on a Wednesday. They had their first, game twos get underway today. The game ones happened on Sunday, and a couple of really good games there. Both road teams came in and won their ball games, shockingly. That Seattle-Las Vegas game, obviously for me, was the best game of the day. Close victory there. I still got Vegas winning this series, especially if, and the thing is, it's questionable right now, but De'Erica Hamby for the Aces could be playing. She's been out with I believe it's a knee bruise, bone bruise on the knee. She's been out for a few weeks, but she's questionable. We'll see if she plays. If she does, that's going to, and how healthy is she? That's the first question, but that's a big boost for them on the rebounding aspect, the length aspect defensively, the scoring side. Huge boost for them if they get Hamby back. I still have Vegas winning this one, even though they're down in the series 1-0. Again, it's a best of 5 series. Seattle's no slouch, though. I told y'all, and I said that on the prediction article, which you can go and read on tossnationmedia.com. I know I wrote about it, but I'm going to talk about it here too, because I can do that. I own this stuff. But I feel, for me, this is the best series. Best series of the semifinals. They show why on Sunday. Close game, back and forth, a lot of runs going back and forth, really good offense, some really smothering defense at times. But, Seattle was running those girls into the ground. Sue Bird dropping dimes all over the place. It was amazing to watch. But I still have Las Vegas winning that series. I just feel that when they get back to moving the basketball, and if they get back on transition D, they can stop Seattle. They really can. They can make things very, very frustrating for Stewie and Jewel and Tina and Sue and all of them. So even though they're down 1-0, I got Las Vegas still winning that series. All right, let's go to the 2-3 matchup. Chicago, Connecticut. Again, Connecticut coming through and getting the victory on Sunday night. Chicago just could not get it going. They were missing everything. When you have Allie Quigley missing all five of her three-point shots, that's a bad shooting night, because she's pretty much automatic from there. But you also have to credit Connecticut and their defense. They've made life very, very difficult. Very difficult for the Sky. I still have the Sky winning that series. Again, they're down 1-0 in this series, but I feel when Chicago is defending, and if they make those shots, because they got some really good open looks, and they make those more times than they don't. If that shot is falling and they're defending the way that we know they can defend, the way that James Wade has those ladies defending, I think they can get over Connecticut. I really do. So, semifinals, I've got Las Vegas winning their series against Seattle. I've got Chicago going back to the WNBA Finals, winning their series against Connecticut. We'll see how we do over these next few games. I would not be surprised to see both of these series go 5 games. That would be very exciting. Hopefully I'm right. All right, let's get to the NFL Top 100 list. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire list, but there are only 2 Packers on that list. Devondre Campbell, well-deserved, should have been higher. But that's okay. He'll take a new contract in an All-Pro. And Aaron Rodgers. Now, we knew Aaron Rodgers was going to go. We knew he was going to be in the top 3. I think it's safe to say top 3. I think, honestly, you just won your 4th MVP in back-to-back fashion. Your 3rd and your 4th came in successive years. I thought for sure he's number 1. But then I started thinking, well, you know what? There were a lot of people who didn't think that Aaron Rodgers was the MVP last season. A lot of people were voting for Tom Brady. So then it made me cloud my judgment. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to make it to the top of that list. I think they are going to gyp him out of number one. I just have a feeling. And lo and behold, they have Aaron Rodgers as number 3 on the list. Number 2, Aaron Donald. Okay, cool. Have no problem with that. And number 1, Tom Brady. For the 4th time in his career, by the way. How in the hell do you have somebody who just won a back-to-back MVP, their 4th MVP overall, and they're not the top player in the league? You are lying. You are hating for no reason other than to hate. Now, this list was voted on by the players. And I said on the Toss Facebook page that this just goes to show that the players don't always know best. You cannot tell me that the most valuable player is not the best player on that list. That should be a given. But maybe some people out there feel some type of way about Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. Just like I don't know how you end up with that guy at number 3. Now, look, it doesn't amount to anything. It's not like these guys have any contract perks attached to this list or whatever, what have you. It is good debate fodder. And I guess they hooked me with it because I'm talking about it here on this show. But come on. Come on, players. Like, y'all can't tell me. Like, if it was you won the MVP in dominating fashion, and then your peers come out and say, well, yeah, you were dominant, but you weren't the best player in the league. Yeah, you the MVP. But you ain't the best player in the league. You got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. 3rd best player in the league. Let that be a chip on his shoulder. I bet you it will be. All right, y'all. That'll do it for me. This was episode 112 of the Tristain Sports Show Toss. Remember, we are back every single week. Beginning of the NFL season coming up. We'll talk Packers football as well as the rest of the league. What do I see for them on next week's program? You know where to find me on social media at the20double. That's at the number 2, the number 0, and the word double on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me there. Facebook.com/Ton Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. Toss on Facebook page. We touch on a lot of things there that we don't get a chance to here on the show. And of course, TossNationMedia.com, your home for the Toss brand of sports. Truthful, opinionated, passionate sports. It's what you deserve. But as I said before, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This is T Squared, Tristan Thomas, reminding all of you to keep it moving forward. Always forward. Forward always. Until next week, so long from Toss.